Right now, someone is keeping score of your life. They've decided what the rules are, who your opponent should be, and how you should measure success. The question is, did you agree to play this game, or are you just realizing you've been a player all along? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Uncovering Greatness podcast. As always, I am your host, Sui, and today I am joined by Uncovering Greatness's lead processor and, according to ChatGPT, the master of mindset. Don't forget. Yes.
The expert itself.
The expert. Nicole Mitchell. What Nicole does is Nicole helps you find out what you want and she helps you get it. And this episode is going to be an interesting one. Nicole, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Sudi. And it is very interesting that you talk about the game. Did you agree to the game? And are you just a player in life? And I think a lot of people are not even aware that they are in the game of life and that they are playing rules that they didn't agree to.
Yeah. So we're going to start off with, and Nicole will read Alan C. Walter's definition of a game for us, just so we're all on the same page and you guys know what we're talking about. We're not talking about TV games or computer games. Life.
But it is important to understand just what is a game, because I think people kind of associate games with things that you do part-time. Like when I'm bored, I'll go play a game, or we play sports. But I don't think people are aware of the games that they are playing in life.
Yeah.
And the games that other people are playing.
Yeah.
So this is the Knowledgeism Dictionary, Alan C. Walter, and his definition of a game: a way of amusing oneself, a posture, diversion, which pretty much what we discussed already. And then number 2, a competitive event that is located on a playing field that contains rules and regulations, players and opponents, freedoms and barriers, and a way of scoring which gives you winners and losers. A game has a purpose which is achieved by players and would include the skills necessary to play the game. So when we look at life, there's different games we're playing. And I think, if we just look at a competitive event that is located on a playing field.
Mm-hmm.
So business.
Office is the playing field.
And your clients and your area. So, in terms of if you have a coffee shop in Edenvale, for example, your playing field is Edenvale.
Yeah.
Contains rules and regulations. Well, there's food rules and you have to get health and safety inspection, and you have to have the kitchen set like this, and
what have you for your people.
HR rules, in terms of who can come and work for you, who can't. Players and opponents. You have people that will play the game with you of making coffee, and you have opponents that open up across the road that are like they're gonna go into competition with you. And maybe it's the ice cream shop that sells coffee
on the other side. Yeah. But could you with that, could you also have opponents within your coffee tea? For you using coffee business as an
example. Absolutely. So, you just like the Spies, Coke and Dagger, you have people infiltrated.
Yes.
The Russians have infiltrated the US, and the US have infiltrated the Russians.
Everybody's infiltrating your private.
There's players and opponents.
Yeah. So you can't have that in your organization.
And, if you take relationships, you go into a family and you'll have players and opponents with it. Yeah. You meet a girlfriend and the mother's, an opponent, and the father's, on your team. It's like
weird how that always happens.
Or whatever it is. So
mothers looking at this podcast.
But isn't that what happens in business? We get players and opponents. We get people that oppose us in our business.
Would you not say it's also the same with like families? Like you're at the dinner table and it's like, so how was your day, Johnny? I got an A. How was your day, Stephen? Oh, I got a B. Oh. Johnny wins today.
But I just look at I look at myself and my brother.
Yeah.
We were opponents all the time during the day, and then suddenly we get home, and then Mom would start like attacking my brother, and then I'd suddenly be his.
Oh, so now you're on a team.
And we're on a team.
Oh, so now you have someone to oppose.
Yes.
Oh.
So don't you see, like, these two brothers and sisters suddenly stick up for each other?
Yeah.
You know, they want to get into trouble with parents. Well,
Mm-hmm.
employees do the same thing. They suddenly stick up for each other to fight against the boss. So yes, in the workplace we have opponents.
Yeah, I'll give it. I'll give an example. I think you mentioned it before. A while back, before we sorted out our accountability. Yeah, I had basically like stood up for Michaela to say no, she didn't make the calls. She did. I heard her, but she didn't have the thing that she was supposed to have. She didn't have a call sheet. But I was like, no, she made the calls. I was standing up for her to stand up against you guys. You guys were my opponents, and she was my teammate. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then we look at like freedoms and barriers. I mean, if you want to take a sales rep, you can have two sales reps, and they can go and sell in different ways. So one of them might sell on the phone, and the other one might sell in person. You know, there's the freedom to it, but there's also barriers. So like if you're a coffee shop in Edenville, you're not going to go and sell, you know, coffee as a sales rep in the north somewhere or Santon area because it's just too far. The barrier is distance.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, and then there's a way of scoring which gives you winners and losers. So, you know, how many cups of coffee did we sell?
Yeah.
You know, if we didn't sell enough cups of coffee, then you ain't getting paid.
Losers. That's your scoreboard right there. Your scoreboard. So your scoreboard in business is like it's your bank account.
So yeah, in terms of winners and losers, you've got your bank accounts, you've got creditors, you've got all sorts of different ways of scoring that gives you winners and losers. But it is, do you know what they actually are? And a lot of people don't.
No.
And then a game has a purpose, which is achieved by players and would include the skills necessary to play the game. This is something Barry and I see a lot of in business. Is you go to school and they teach you how to get a good education, they teach you how to get a good job, but they don't teach you how to start a business.
Yeah.
And they don't teach you, you know, they'll teach you how to open a bank account, but they don't teach you how to put money into your bank account or earn money to go into your bank account from sales. So you don't get taught sales. It's, you know, and it's quite fascinating, the things that you don't get taught in this game that we are sort of thrown into.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've shared on different podcasts around like credit ratings. You know, do you know, do you have a credit rating? Do you know what your credit rating is? Do you have you, you know, are you like the model person like myself that, you know, doesn't go into debt, and then suddenly you want to go buy a house and they go, no, you don't have a credit score, and
you don't exist.
Exactly, you don't exist, and you're like, but you like, I've paid cash for everything, like that's responsible.
You thought
I thought I was doing myself a favor, but that's not the game.
That's not the financial game.
That's not the financial game.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just understanding, like Robert Kiyosaki talks about, you know, the asset game.
Yes.
You know, how the banks will tell you your house is an asset. And he's like, no, it is not. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket, whether you are there or not. And it's like people have just taken on this whole thing that, no, the bank says my house is an asset.
It's 2025. We are coming towards the end of August. And I'm actually still seeing that argument online.
What?
That your house is an asset.
So
when you live in it. I live here. I'm the one who pays my part. There's no one else with me. It's me and my family. And people are, nope, it's still an asset.
And this is where it's like, what game are you playing? Are you playing the game of I'm going into society and society's telling me that my house is an asset, so I'm going into agreement with that?
Yeah.
Or are you playing the game of, yes, my house will become an asset when I sell it.
Yes.
Because right now I have to pay money to live in my house.
Yeah.
So therefore it is not an asset because it doesn't put money in my pocket. And so if you're playing the game of fitting in with society, sure, your house is an asset. But if you're playing the game of making money, your house is not an asset.
Got you. So this one, and this is because this is a 2 weeks ago we did a podcast about toxic workplaces, especially in South Africa. And
Toxic workplaces.
Yeah.
Especially in South Africa.
especially in South Africa. And this one is an interesting one for me because while researching and we were talking and stuff like that about this episode, I was wondering because I was reading the definition, right? And still just conditioning. I was like, okay, this sounds like a game, like a normal game. It doesn't, it's not anything profound, and especially the entertainment piece. And I found something that said toxic behavior is literally entertainment for some people.
Of course it is. It's fun to play that game. But and I say that a little bit tongue in cheek because some people don't even realize that they're playing that game.
Yeah.
But you'll see people that like to make you squirm. So I mean I've seen, you can go to the gym and you'll see there's a coach will have a certain client and they love to make them squirm. And you can literally see the game. That client will walk into the gym or walk into CrossFit and you'll see the coach will like laugh at them or joke with them, and they will make, oh, if we want to know how not to do it, we just have to look at this person. And you can see already the game, and both people play the game. Yeah. Because the one person's playing, I'm getting all the attention game. And the other person is playing the, I'm going to make an idiot of you game. Yeah. And suddenly these both people are playing game. But why? Because they're both being entertained. Yeah. And, it's understanding that that's fun for them. There is nothing wrong with that because it's innocent and it's, but now let's say that particular client isn't there that day.
Ooh, you're gonna have to find who player.
Who's going to be the other player, the next player that you're going to abuse and make fun of? Yeah, because now you kind of don't have a purpose for your day, for example, because that person is not the player that you usually play on the field with, is not there. So you have to find somebody else.
And that's a whole new challenge.
And so we see it in you get managers that suddenly, I've got a title, I'm going to show you that I'm the boss, I'm going to show you, and they make less of people and they use their power to make themselves feel bigger and other people feel small. And I say this, most people are not even aware that that's what they're doing because it's happening on a subconscious level. Look, some people are very aware that they're doing it, and they're doing it deliberately, and they only do it with certain people. But it's just understanding, do you want to be part of that game or not?
But would you also say that then it's because nobody calls them out? So I'm aware of it. We're not talking about the subconscious people. We're talking about the people who are aware of what they do. So the gym owner, the gym instructor who's aware of what they do, but they don't realize the effect that it's having on the other person because they're just doing it for themselves.
Well, most of the time they don't realize the effects on other people. Nice. And it's quite fascinating. You'll see people that enjoy playing that game and you'll see people that don't enjoy playing that game. And sometimes if you're not aware of it, you may find that the wrong people get hurt unknowingly.
Then you're like, oh, so sensitive. It's just a joke.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you're playing the game with the wrong person here. That person they're not with that.
Yep.
And it's, so another one, which I find quite fascinating, and you kind of mentioned it, and we do see it a lot in our world, is the blame entrepreneur game, the blame business owner game, right? So I go on social media, guys, I started my business, I'm gonna kill it, I'm gonna be amazing, and I just keep posting about my lovely offices, and I just play the game, and I continuously tell myself that I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a business owner.
And I've got my business plans and I've spent hours and weeks and months on
Perfected it.
business plan, and I'm so excited with my business plan.
And I take no action.
And I've opened my bank accounts.
And I got my document thing.
Subsea
To say, you are registered. Go and make a difference. And then nothing. And I think I feel like that was so important, because I never feel like we're not saying don't start businesses or don't be an entrepreneur. We understand that our economy needs those types of people.
Absolutely, we need those people.
But you need a business is something that actually makes money.
Correct.
Yeah.
The purpose of a business to find and keep customers.
Yeah.
The goal of a business is to make money.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand. They underestimate how long it's actually going to take them to get their name out there and for people to start coming into their coffee shop. Or they underestimate how much it's going to cost them to start their coffee shop. So they don't, I heard from so-and-so, or I saw on social media that, you only need 100,000 Rand and you're good to start a coffee shop. And you're going, okay, so you need to, how much is the barista course?
Oh yeah, because I had to.
You have
you
have to understand about coffee.
Yeah, you can't just
go and okay. So then you need to get the coffee machine.
Those things are usually the same price as a car.
Almost. Yeah. and then you need to get coffee beans and cups.
And
spoons and
there's the different milks now. It's not just normal milk.
You can't you get barista milk, and you get latte milk, almond latte milk, and you get this kind of milk and all sorts of things. But anyway,
you're not just serving black coffee, no sugar.
You're not just serving filter coffee anymore. And it's just understanding, and then you've got to now have an aware, what I need to bake muffins.
Freak out! Didn't think
about that. And what about my electricity for running my coffee shop? And how much is it going to cost me?
My water bill.
And my water bill. And then, I need to have staff. I need to have someone to wash the dishes.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's not 100,000 Rand anymore. And suddenly it's 2 million Rand.
Yeah.
And people are going, what? No, but that's not right.
That's what on social media said.
And this is where it's, have you done enough of your research before you go into that industry? And there's nothing wrong with being an entrepreneur, but it's just, do you understand how long it is going to take you to get to where you need to be? And do you, are you planning that you have this much income to cover you? Because it's going to take 6 months of not generating income before you actually start making money.
And those are some of the barriers in a game.
Correct.
Right? You've got to. And would you then also say that sometimes maybe people create artificial barriers, because it's more mental thing? So it's like I can't do it because I'm not a salesperson.
I've never said that. Never been a salesperson in my life. No, I can't go out and sell.
Yeah. So it's
and people do create their own barriers. Like someone will come and say, well, what about flyers? Why can't you go hand out flyers? Oh, no, I don't have money to print flyers. Well, who said you can't handwrite them? And put little notes and make it pretty and,
do it a little bit different then so we have some money. Yeah.
There's other ways to do it. And yes, there are those mental sort of, I have to create this beautiful, I said PowerPoint, but this sort of flyer with pretty flowers, and I've got to get all my branding right, and I've got to do this and I've got to do that, and I've got to have a sales pitch before I walk outside and go and talk to people. And so now I need to get a mentor to help me with my sales pitch, and I need to do all this marketing, and suddenly we spend 100,000 Rand on marketing and we haven't even walked out the door and spoken to anybody.
No.
And these are the things that are not being taught to people that want to become business owners, because Very just taught me that you need to speak to 100 people before you put anything on social media, and before you print a single flyer. Go and talk to 100 people. And that for me was so challenging, to go and talk to people. Why? Because I'd never
Just people, 100 people's a lot, yeah. 100 freaking out for them. Like, people misunderstand numbers sometimes. Hundreds a lot.
But I don't even like it was go and speak to 100 people. It wasn't even go and promote your business to you. It was go speak to 100 people. Yeah, you can. It doesn't take long to do that. You can do that in a day.
Yeah, and again.
You can walk into 100 stores and go talk to 100 cashiers.
Yeah.
But most people don't want to do that. Why? Because it's hard and it's something they've never done and it's uncomfortable. So we'd rather go and make our brochure all pretty, because it's way easier to do a brochure and put it on the counter and slide it across to you.
Yeah.
The problem with that is that often that brochure never even gets looked at. It just gets chucked in the bin.
I get juice for my gum because I don't want to just throw gum on the floor, so I'll put it in the flyer and I'll throw it away.
And nobody's read it, and you spend all this money. So it's important to understand, do you know what the rules of the game are?
Yeah.
The rules are you have to go and talk to people.
And that's the thing. People are always trying to change the game without even knowing the rules.
Well, it's like rugby. So people want to go and play rugby, but they don't know how to play. And then they go, but why can't you pass the ball forward? Just pass the ball forward.
We'll make it easier. We'll get there quicker.
It'll be so much easier that we just pass the ball forward. Like, what's the problem?
You run forward and I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, like they do that in American football. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
You know, and this is where there's people, when you go into a game, you need to understand the rules. And you need to understand not necessarily why the rules are there, but you have to have an idea of how the rules work. And maybe, if you are that person, you do need to understand why is it like that. But you also don't need to know everything. Because as you play the game of rugby, so you start at schoolboy level and then you go up to maybe club level and then you go up to international level. Each stage you will learn more.
Yeah.
And you will, there is stuff that the rule books and no one tells you. And that is the same in business. There is stuff that nobody tells you. Because why? Everybody's different and everybody has different journey.
100%. I mean, while you were speaking, I was just thinking about when Michael Jordan went from playing basketball to playing baseball. And he spoke about Michael Jordan was from one of the most gifted athletes, physical athletes we've seen, right? And he spoke about how he went from basketball to baseball, but he had to change his mechanics because the game is different. He couldn't come in there play with basketball training, how they train, like how he does his training for basketball. You can't do that for
because the running's different.
The running's different, the move, everything is different. And I was like, damn. But you don't think about things like that when you get into business, right? You go from being an employee, I'm gonna go start a business.
My boss doesn't know
this guy
what
sucks.
Yeah.
He sucks. I'm gonna do this. This I can do it. I know I can speak like Barry. I'm gonna go do it. And then I start. I'm like, oh shit, I need to put people in this room. Oh, nobody told me that.
and okay, so I put people in the room and I spoke to them.
Now,
stop.
Yeah, I did it.
And then Barry goes, now you gotta do it again. And you're like,
what? No. I thought they're gonna buy. They're supposed to buy. That's why you're here. Why didn't you buy?
And this is the problem, is that we don't often get told all the rules of the game. Like I'm sure you'll see it in social media. I mean, I had such a chuckle the other day. Someone commented on your post, and I was like, "Wish I had a fake account that I could go and comment." And then I was like, "Why would I want to do that?" And I'm just like, because like the rules of the game are you play them a certain way.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, it's not actually up to me to go and comment on something like that, because just because somebody made some, I say, silly comment on our Facebook page, I don't need to go and defend everything that people say. I don't need to go and, it's like, okay, I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop me from having the thought, I wish I had a fake account. But then, like, I do question how many people have actually done that. And I'm pretty sure there are lots of people that have fake accounts and go and use it for commenting. And, this fake marketing that you see this marketing, like this is our lose weight program. And then you go through and how come you God, like the same comment from 4 different people. Like,
Oh, how is this possible? That doesn't.
the exact same comment.
That only works if you say type in the comment section this word. Then I get it. I'm with it. If you don't say that in the copy and I'm seeing everybody saying the same thing, I'm like, this is a little bit sketchy. And you're all right. We see that so much on social media and in marketing where it has become, it's one of those things where it feels like it's become the game, right? It's become
Because
awesome.
the game is to get likes and
Yes,
shares.
and have this authority. So you look like you have all these people that are following you, when in all honesty, all of those things are fake accounts that you bought or you created or you did whatever you needed to do. And that's one of the reasons why I absolutely am loving YouTube. YouTube knows how to pick that up and they will block your page.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you done.
Oh, that's awesome.
You done. It's like 3 months your page is suspended. Sometimes you don't get your page back. They will send it away and you'll never get it back because it can pick up fake accounts and it can pick up that, wait, you've got 100,000 subscribers, but you get 10 views per video. That doesn't make any sense. And that's it sucks because that has become the game that people play and people think that it's normal to do that.
And I think you bring up such a great point about normal. What is normal? Because, we've grown up in this world where our experience dictates what's normal.
Oof.
And, I've seen it recently, Michaela went off to a friend's house and, of course, it was very different to our house. And the children were screaming and yelling and swearing at the parents. And, Michaela was like, that's not normal.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, then she goes and chats to somebody else and says, does this happen in your house? And they're like, yeah, that's normal.
No.
That's what we do. It's okay. And Michaela's like, okay. And then she'd go chat to another friend and they're like, no, that doesn't happen in our house. And so we have this perception of what I experience is normal. And yet there is, like, what is normal? Like, I don't believe there is a normal. I think everyone has different experiences. And yes, some people have more things in common than others. But I don't think there is a normal anymore because there's just what is your experience versus my experience.
Yeah, I actually like that way more than, it's the new normal. It's the new normal to be depressed. I'm like, what the heck do you mean? That's not normal.
No.
That is abnormal. That's
shouldn't
wrong.
be happening, but the world has gone into agreement.
Yeah.
Just like, I'll use the example. Men are supposed to be the protectors and women are supposed to be the doers.
Yeah, there's an extent
Men go off and they're strong and they hunt. And a few years ago, we were driving down the highway and there was a truck in front of us, like a bakkie with a trailer. And I watched this geezer slide off of the trailer onto the road in front of me. And I'm like, oh dear. And so I very slowly pulled over and I'm like, there's a geezer in the middle of the highway. This poor person, now they're 100 meters in front of us, or 200 meters probably. And this geezer's lying in the middle of the road. So I'm like, well, the least I can do is try and get it out of the road for this poor person. So, I had my daughter in the car with me. And so the two of us go and we pull the geezer off the highway with the plastic tray, and we literally had to drag it. And I don't actually think it was that heavy. Maybe we picked it up. I can't remember. But anyway, so I remember getting it on the side of the road. Now the geezer's in front of my car, and now I'm watching this person trying to reverse.
Oh, it's to get back
to where we were.
Yeah.
And so first of all, he stopped. And he came running down and he said, he said something to us. And I said, no problem. And he goes, I'm going to reverse my truck back. So anyway, so now I'm watching him trying to reverse. And because there's this tiny little stretch and he's half in the ditch and he's trying to reverse. And of course, was not winning. So I've got my little I-20 and I'm like, I'll put the seats down in the back and I'll pick the geezer up and put it in my car, in the back of my car with the boot open. It'll only be half in, but that's fine. I only have to drive to him. Just to him. And so, as like I said to, I think it was Michaela was with me, come help me. And we put the geezer in my car. And I said to run up and tell him that
you just got it.
Just stay there.
Yeah. I'm coming to you.
Coming to you. And so off she ran up to him, and I drove the car very slowly, like on the verge of the highway and what have you. Then
again.
Yeah, exactly. So we then take the geezer out, put it on his trailer, and I remember him standing and looking at me, and I think he was Portuguese, and he said to me, he goes, I never in my wildest dreams would have expected a woman and a child to help me on the highway. And it's conditioning, because that's the conditioning that he grew up with, that women are not supposed to do your stuff. Women are not supposed to stop and help. And for me, my conditioning is you help anyone and everyone. And I was just like, I didn't care. I was like, there's a geese in the middle of the road, stop and help. Yeah. And I didn't give it any second thoughts, because
it was normal.
It's just normal. and like, I've got friends that are like, you did what? Yeah. Like, you stopped? Like, a woman, you'll get attacked if you do that. And it's just like, we have these perceptions, and we kind of land up playing games with these perceptions of this is the way it's supposed to be. And then somebody will come along and break the norm, and you're like, you're weird.
Yeah. We need to put that person out because she stops from strangers on the highway. We can't hang out with her car. She's gonna put us in danger. You're gonna put us in a dangerous position.
Correct. And because that's other people's experiences.
Yeah.
And we kind of like, we've become a society where we don't even realize the games that people are playing. And, these games of it's not safe to drive at night. And I'm not saying that is not true for you.
Yeah.
Kate, because, wherever you live, there's different things and different experiences. And I mean, I have family in Australia that were absolutely terrified to come to South Africa because they're going to get hijacked. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, we live here. We drive on the highways every day. Obviously, yes, there is hijackings and you have to be vigilant. Yeah. And there are certain areas you just do not go. And, there's things you can do, roll your window down a fraction so that, they don't pop your car or get smash and grab on your windows, or there's all sorts of things you can do to protect yourself from that.
You got to play the safety game, kind of.
The awareness game. It's just like, if you buy a car, get smash and grab on your windows. So they're not going to break your windows and hijack you. Don't drive around with your watch hanging out the car, cell phones hanging out the car.
The valuables are just visible. And that's anywhere. I would it's not just what we live here, so we speaking about. But I would imagine you should think like that anywhere you go, right?
But it's not like that.
Yeah.
There are places in the world where they leave their cars unlocked, windows open, valuables in their car, nobody touches anything.
Buys like that.
Exactly. Yeah. You'll get your hands chopped off if you do something you shouldn't. And
that's the game.
And understanding that is the game. So, when you go to Dubai, you're not going to, the game that you will play, certainly as a woman, is I am not going to wear short shorts and little strappy tops walking around Dubai or any Arab country. But people will go there and go, well, why can't I do that? I am so-and-so and I'm in whatever.
It was the same when the World Cup was in Qatar and people were like, why every other place we've been allowed to drink in the stadiums. Okay, but it's not their rules. Oh, but no, this guy has alcohol at his house and that's where, okay, the rules are not in public. That's the game. If they drink in private, that's their game.
And it's just understanding, do you understand the rules of the game?
Yeah.
And do you know what game you are playing? And a lot of people, we just fall into society and we just go, oh, that's the way it is. oh, the bank says I can't have a loan for my car, so I'll never own a car.
Yeah.
And oh, the taxman says I have to do this, so that's
Create that
just
barrier.
the way it is. And we create these experiential barriers, and then you're wondering, but how did you do it?
Yeah. Well, maybe most times you don't even ask because you're just like, no. But to me, these things happen. You see, Nicole, her life is different to mine, and the way her life goes is different.
Yeah, she didn't grow up like me.
Exactly, because I grew up here. That's why I can't have X.
And it's we get these sort of experiences and these expectations. So, you grew up in Sandton and you grew up in Soweto, so you couldn't possibly understand how and I mean, I was talking to the lady that helps in our home, and I was saying to her about, some of the stories I hear, like it breaks my heart when people come into processing and you hear these stories. And I was saying to her, but even I think it was one of my girls' friends, I was saying, oh, this child is, her parents are divorced, and, this is what's happening. And she looked at me and she goes, but you're white. That's not supposed to happen to you. And we have these like, well, that doesn't happen, because of X. And I mean, I literally, like when she said that to me, I was like, but that happens whether you're black, white, colored, Indian,
It happens.
purple, green.
It doesn't matter. If you're human, it happens.
If you're human, it happens.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we have these perceptions that it's worse in certain things, which it may well be.
And it may well not be.
But it also may well not be. And it's just understanding that sometimes we've got to look at things and go, that's actually abnormal.
Yeah.
What happened in my home is actually abnormal. It doesn't happen in every
home. Yeah.
And, so it is. And going back to, swearing in homes, for some people, that is what they do. And other people, it is not what they do. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just that's the way they play the game in their house, and this is the way we play the game in our house. It's different.
Yeah, my mother could hear me swearing from across the room, like from the other side of the house. That's how much it wasn't allowed. She knew when I swore, and she wasn't even there.
She had eyes in the back.
Yeah. What did I do? I heard you swearing. Where did you hear that? And the game is he don't swear in our house, right? It was funny because there'd be moments where she would swear because she would get upset with something, and then she'd swear, but it would always be, we don't swear though. That's not how we do what we do. To the point where sometimes you couldn't listen to hip hop music at the house because they're swearing in it. So they teach you how to swear. That was the game.
Those were the rules.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Abide by those rules.
You play, and I think we see that a lot, right, in society with people trying to, and like I said it earlier, people trying to change the rules versus actually going, can I understand the rules first before I even change them? Can I understand them and play to them before I try to change?
And this is where, like a manager going into a new business, you get employed, go and learn the rules.
Yeah.
You go in there, you learn the rules, and then you have the right to change the rules. And you can improve things. And this is where a lot of times people think they know what the rules are in business. And they just go in and they just make all these changes, and suddenly nothing works. And everyone wants to know, but it's your fault. You changed
them. Yeah, we had a set of rules that we were playing the game by. You changed them. And now everybody's suddenly playing by their own set of rules. Right. And I wanted to say this. I was thinking, because there's a piece here that I wanted to speak about, sort of like the virtue signaling. That's what it's. Oh, no. Sorry. Expertise gatekeeping. Right, as a game. So when you use, and we see this a lot on social media, you use big words, big fancy words. You say things to sound like an expert. And I thought about the last sales explosion that we had. There were two guys who were trying to seem like experts. So they didn't want to play the game. You could see it from jump. From 9 o'clock when they walked in, you could see that they did not want to play the game by the rules. And they kept on trying to, say things and do things and butt the system a little bit. And then they left.
And also they also tried to create confusion.
Yeah.
Because they're going, yeah, but you're not doing that, and why is this, and how's that? And everyone's going, huh?
Where did that come
Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And they were like throwing, like discussing things that wasn't even connected. And then
like profit margins and losses, and I'm like, where's that on the flip charts? But I'm not, now I feel bad because I'm like, I'm not paying attention.
Huh. And so they tried to create all this confusion
Yeah.
so that people are not aware that they don't play the game. And of course they got
Yeah.
caught out, and then they left and they didn't come back. And it's always fascinating to see how you get people that they don't want to play the game. So yes, they use all these big fancy words, and they literally create chaos because suddenly people are going, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Instead of, no, but you haven't done what you said you were going to do. And they get lost and they get distracted on the wrong things. And you get people that play those games, that
Yeah.
chaos creators.
Yeah.
And they use all these big fancy words, and like, I'm the expert, I know what I'm doing, and you're sitting there going, really? Like, I'm confused.
I need a dictionary to speak to you.
And it's just understanding that when you have that, are you aware of what game is that person playing?
Another one. Sorry, the social media one. This has just cracked me up because you see a game, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's this ad that's going around. Generate leads without social media. I don't know if you've seen it.
Generate leads without social media. Okay. I haven't seen it. No.
But what are they using to generate the leads?
Of course they're using social media, because how would you?
And then you have this interesting balance, right? You have people going, "Oh, cool, I'm interested," and then you have other people going, "But you're using social media to generate leads. So how are you going to teach me to do that when you're doing that exact thing?"
And this is where it is. It's understanding, like, when we're promoting stuff, you will never hear us promoting, we will teach you social media out of our rooms. Because we don't do that. We teach you how to sell belly to belly.
That is it.
We teach you sales.
Yes.
And we will teach you how to communicate.
Yes.
And you can use those communication skills on social media or belly to belly, but they are standard principles of communication that you can use anywhere, anytime, any place.
Yep.
As opposed to, we're not saying don't go onto social media.
I don't think we ever say that. I think that it's always the thing of when you get to that's just my feeling. When you get to a certain level, you need social media, or you can utilize social media, build a brand, get your name out there. So like, for example, like you said, the thing that Barry made you do, go speak to 100 people first before you post.
And now it's getting to the point where it's like, I've got people asking me, but I haven't seen anything on social media. And now I have to start using social media. Why? Because I'm being asked for it.
Yeah.
People are asking me. And like, if we don't do a podcast, I didn't see your podcast. Or, people are actually asking us for it. So therefore, now we're doing it. As opposed to the flip side, where you spend all your time on social media and you've got nobody watching and nobody listening except your fake 10 accounts that blind, copy, paste, whatever. But it's just understanding there is, what game are you playing? Are you playing the game of trying to prove how good you are by putting fake accounts in there? Or are you playing the game of, I'm actually serving people and I'm giving people what they need and want?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I think that's the beauty, like getting to a point where people are asking for content on social media, because I know you've worked with me in session, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I can't see you every day. I can't speak to you every day. At least if I have a place to go and watch your videos, listen to your teachings, that could help me after session. Versus Nicole's just out here saying things, but you have zero clients, generating.
I mean, we do have certain clients who do that.
Yeah.
And we've seen them do it on social media, and they have their little daily whatever post put out. That most people, the people that actually go and watch it, are people that go to watch to see what, like, how congruent are you? Like they're like, are you doing what you're speaking? No, See, I
see
caught
the
him
game.
out again.
Yeah,
Like,
I see the game.
I see the game.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, are you aware of what you're actually doing? And a lot of people are not.
Any final thoughts before we wrap it up? How would you help people, or how do you think people can help themselves understanding what games they are in with themselves?
So it's to observe the games that they're playing. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? So like when you want to talk, great example. Are you talking to speak or are you talking to listen?
Explain that.
So, you know, when somebody's saying, I played netball at school and we did X, Y, and Z.
Mhm.
Are you waiting to?
Yeah.
I also played netball and my coach was also an idiot. And da, da, da. Are you speaking to speak? Obviously.
Oh,
Second video there. Because how many people do that? That you can literally see them. You haven't even got the words out your mouth, and you can see they're already.
Do you know what my thing is? I stop speaking and I go, just say in peace. Just speak. Because you're not even listening to me. So what's the point?
And so it is. It's something just as simple as that. Are you speaking to be heard, or are you speaking to actually add value to somebody? And you're correct. I mean, for me, I sit back and I just go, okay, cool, sit. You do all the talking. Yeah. Anything else?
You done? All right.
Cool.
End of convo.
And it just like you say, there's no point in having a conversation with that person because you know that they're not actually listening to anything you say and they just want to speak for the sake of speaking. So it's just having that understanding of, are you speaking to listen? Are you speaking to add value? Why are you doing what you're doing? And, you know, another example, when your boss calls you out, are you defending, or are you excusing, or you blaming, or you justifying, or you taking responsibility? And it's just having a look at all the different things that you do. And once you can see the games you are playing, it will be so much easier to see the games that other people are playing. So yeah, those are my final thoughts.
Damn. You stole my challenge. All right.
Sorry.
So I'm going to wrap it up in terms of what Nicole said, because I want to actually give you guys a challenge. I will take on this challenge myself as well. So before you speak, as Nicole said, ask yourself this. What game is being played here? What are the rules of this game? Who created those rules? And what happens if you simply don't play? I think it's like the example that we just gave now. If you're going to talk, I'm trying to talk to you.
So we're not talking about like avoid the tax man here.
No,
like,
that's
because that's a way bigger thing. We're not.
That's other people's podcasts. we teach
we're-
ethical things. Yeah.
We're talking about do it ethically, morally. You know.
So if somebody, so like that example, if we are having a conversation, I can see that Nicole just wants to jump in and tell me about a game. Do I want to play this game? So I'm going to step back and I'm going to say, okay, finish what you say. You done? Cool. Bye, Nicole. I don't, because I simply do not want to play this game. I'm okay. So I'll repeat thank you for that clarification. Very important. What game is being played here? When you said that, now I'm like, yes, people are going to be sitting there going, yeah, well, the game being played is I have to pay my taxes. I don't want to play. You're going to jail, okay? Get this.
Understand there are consequences to whatever you decide to do. So it's just, yes, you can choose not to play the game and then you can go broke, or you can like land up in jail, or, you know, you can steal, beg, borrow, whatever. But it's just understand that ain't going to give you what you want. So it goes back to what do you want?
Yeah.
When you're playing the game.
Ooh, I think that is a great question, actually. What do you want when you're playing the game you are playing with this week? Forget all my questions. I'm not going to edit them out. You can use them if you want. But I feel that's a much better challenge.
Because when you understand what you want, then you can look at, well, what game is being played? Is it serving me?
Yeah.
So, like, we use the example of the coach and the athlete, and yes, they're both having fun, and it's cool, and it's banter, and but then when that athlete's not there, is the coach playing the same abusive, make fun of game with somebody else?
Yeah.
And then it's not two people having fun.
Yeah.
It's somebody abusing their power. So it's just have a look and see, are you, and you can observe it in other people. You'll see people playing the games wherever you go. So it is just, what game is being played? Is it serving you? Do you have to interfere in the game? Do you have to be part of it? Because sometimes we don't have to be part of it, and we have this need to be part of it.
The need to speak. Sometimes you don't know, and it's okay to keep quiet. What do you want out of the game that you are playing?
Correct.
And please don't say I don't play games, because that is playing game.
Absolutely.
Nice. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for your time, knowledge. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope that we added value. I hope that we flipped things around for you, made things a little bit abnormal. And we will see you guys next week. Oh, sorry, don't forget to subscribe. You guys have been subscribing. Our numbers are improving. I am enjoying that. I'm enjoying seeing people commenting. I will make sure that I get some of your questions answered on the podcast. I know that I am responding to you guys, but I will make sure that I ask either Nicole or Barry to answer questions directly to you, that you guys post to us. So thank you for subscribing. Don't stop subscribing. Let's keep growing this channel. Let's keep adding value, and let's keep making a difference. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.